Welcome to the TAC Index AI podcast, November 13th, 2025. This is where we blend TAC IP data, reports, charts, all that good stuff, with the latest news and logistics, especially air cargo.
That's right.
And our mission today really is to unpack what's happening right now in air freight. Because, you're staring down this huge paradox. Rates are fighting their way up, heading into peak season, which you'd sort of expect. But then, boom, this massive capacity shock just hit. It could potentially flip the whole market overnight.
It's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, the global Baltic air freight index, the BAI 0, it gained 2.0% just last week up to November 10th. That leaves it only, about 3.7% down year over year, so moving up.
Okay, so let's dive into that capacity shock you mentioned, because this is where it gets really interesting and quite serious.
Right.
After that fatal UPS MD-11 cargo plane crash down in Louisville, well, FedEx, UPS, and also Western Global, they immediately grounded their entire MD-11 fleets.
Yeah, the whole fleet.
The whole fleet. And these aren't small planes. We're talking major workhorses, especially, on those critical trans-Pacific routes.
Ah, okay, so that's the main impact zone.
Primarily, yes.
Yeah.
That's where most of them operate. But you're definitely going to see ripple effects across transatlantic lanes, too. It's not like a slow leak. This is a sudden vacuum of lift.
Right, when demand is supposed to be spiking for peak season.
Exactly. Terrible timing.
That is a massive operational hit. But what's fascinating, almost confusing, is the resilience or maybe the messaging we're hearing from some carriers already.
Like FedEx?
Yeah, like FedEx. They reported their U.S. outbound air freight business is already up 22%. That's about $40 million. And they're still expecting year-over-year improvement through peak.
Right.
So is that like genuine adaptability, or are they just picking up the pieces, vacuuming up the demand their competitors suddenly can't handle because their planes are grounded?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It certainly suggests rates could climb even higher if capacity stays this tight.
Makes sense.
But even before this grounding really started to bite, the rate data itself was already pretty dynamic. If you look at Asia, Hong Kong, the BAI 30, gained a solid 3.7% week over week.
Okay.
And generally, rates were rising out of North Asia. Think Taiwan, Vietnam too, heading to places like Europe, Australia, India, Mexico.
But not everywhere.
Not everywhere.
Yeah.
Shanghai, the BAI 80, actually dipped slightly, just 0.2% down week over week. So mixed signals out of China itself.
And Europe was even more volatile, right? Kind of doing its own thing.
Completely. London Heathrow, the BAI 40, had been down. Then it just rebounded sharply, jumped a huge 15.0% in 1 week.
15%, wow.
Yeah, that took it back into positive territory year over year, just barely, plus 0.1%. But then you look at Frankfurt, the BAI 20. It slipped back 6.8% after making some gains recently.
Huh. It's like watching ping pong.
It really is.
Yeah.
The European hubs seem to be reacting to very local pressures right now,
Yeah.
not just the big global trends.
Okay, so grounding aside, what else is stirring the pot here? I know we had that government shutdown issue in the U.S.
Right, and you can't ignore those domestic operational hurdles. The U.S. air travel system, it's still kind of feeling the hangover from that recent shutdown.
Even though the funding bill passed.
Yeah, even so. The FAA had ordered traffic reductions started at 4%, I think, across 40 major airports.
Yeah.
And unwinding that takes time.
Why is that? Just flight schedules?
It's more than that. It's crew positioning, it's staffing challenges.
Yeah.
Controllers retiring or calling in sick more often. So even with funding restored, getting back to normal flow takes days, maybe longer.
And that affects cargo, too, not just passengers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Slower FAA clearances mean cargo planes sit on the tarmac longer. That eats up effective capacity, burns expensive fuel just waiting.
Yeah.
It delays everything.
So, okay, capacity is getting squeezed from two massive angles. The MD-11's grounded and this FAA gridlock lingering. But what about costs, fuel specifically?
Well, that's the one bit of perhaps good news for carriers this week. Jet fuel actually saw some relief. Oil prices fell. What was it, more than $2 a barrel?
Yeah, about 3.76% down.
Right. And that came after OPEC shifted its long-term forecast. They're now expecting global supply to basically match demand in 2026. They were previously projecting deficits.
So a softer fuel outlook, that must provide at least some buffer against all this operational chaos.
It's a vital buffer, yes. Helps offset some of those waiting on the tarmac costs, potentially.
And then, quickly, just to contrast air with the sea, any movement there, last we heard things were still messy in the Red Sea.
Still very messy. The Houthi rebels apparently offered to stop the attacks in the Red Sea. But carriers? Well, analysts like Zanetta are saying they're just not expected back anytime soon.
They need more than just an offer, I guess.
Far more assurance, yeah. So For now, that diversion around South Africa continues. That adds about 2 weeks of sailing time, keeping that layer of macro logistics disruption very much active.
Okay, so pulling it all together, what does this all mean for you, the listener, watching the market?
Air freight rates are fighting upward, like you'd expect for peak season, but it's happening despite huge operational turbulence. Yeah, you've got this major systemic capacity shock from the MD-11 grounding hitting right alongside these ongoing government-related air traffic jams in the U.S.
A perfect storm almost.
It kind of feels that way.
Right.
So the big question we'll leave you with is this. Which force wins out here in the medium term?
Right.
Does the immediate crisis, the MD-11 capacity crunch, keep rates flying high? Does it force shippers to pay a real premium for whatever limited lift is left?
Or does that softening long-term fuel cost picture,
Yeah.
maybe signaling a wider supply balance globally, eventually pull the market back towards some kind of stability?
Exactly. There's going to be a lot to watch over the next few weeks as carriers desperately scramble to find replacement capacity for those grounded MD-11s. It's definitely not boring times in air cargo.
Definitely not. We'll be tracking it closely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.